Last year, in 2023, there were two cars that I was absolutely itching to get behind the wheel of. One of them was the Kia EV9. Now, I was invited to the launch of that car at the tail end of the year, but due to other circumstances getting in the way, I had to cancel at the last minute. Thankfully, Kia managed to get a car to me very quickly at the start of this year, and I managed to put it through the full AutoEV road test. The other car was this, the Volvo EX30. Now, for whatever reason, the car came out in 2023. It's taken me until now to finally get my hands on one. And I've seen plenty of them out and about in the roads. So people are obviously buying them. The question is, have they made the right decision? Welcome to this week's road test review. Welcome to the not so new Volvo EX30. And as always, welcome to AutoEV. Now, before we get started on this week's road test review of Volvo's, as I say, not so new EX30, why don't you do us a favour and make sure you're subscribed to the AutoEV channel. Then once you've done that, press the little bell button down below, because that's the way that you get a notification of when our next video is uploaded and it's gone live. Once you've watched it, if you do enjoy it, then of course, give it a thumbs up, and of course, don't forget, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about the cars review, such as Volvo's EX30, and of course, on the AutoEV channel as a whole. It's quite an important car for Volvo, this, the little EX30. It is the first electric car on a bespoke platform that the company has produced to hit the market. Although they've showed the larger EX90 first, that car is yet to appear actually in the showrooms. It's the EX30 that's actually out and about now. As I say, there's plenty of them running around, so it's proven to be quite a popular little car. And although it's not Volvo's first electric car, it is their first on a bespoke platform, because their other cars, the XC40 and C40 recharges, which have now been rebadged EX40 and EC40, they are spun from obviously a combustion engine platform, and of course we know that carries some compromises. Whereas with the EX30 being on a bespoke platform, we're hoping those compromises don't really make themselves known to us. Now, it sits on a common platform with the Smart #1, because Smart is also sits sort of under the umbrella of Geely, which own Volvo. Smart is a sort of like a collaboration between Geely and Mercedes-Benz, so it's not quite sort of like all underneath sort of like Geely's control. But the platform, the electric componentry, which is what Smart have done, and obviously at that point Geely is what shares its commonality with the EX30, so the platform and sort of like the underpinnings and the motors and stuff. Now, we really like the Smart #1. So does that bode well for the EX30? Because I'm quite interested to know this, because this is a car that split quite a few opinions. However, before we start, let's take a little snapshot of the Volvo EX30. So the EX30 is the company's most compact crossover style SUV, and it sits below the EX40 and EC40 models. As I said, it shares its platform with the Smart #1, as both companies are part of the Geely empire in some way, shape or form. Two battery sizes are available, either a 51 kWh one with up to 209 miles, or a larger 69 kWh one with up to 295 miles on the combined WLTP cycle. There's a choice of two drivetrains, a single motor car with 272 brake horsepower and a dual motor car with 428 brake horsepower. And prices start from just under £34,000 and rise to just under £45,000 before any options are fitted. So as I say, it does share a little bit with the Smart #1, which, given the fact that that car, as good as it was, as much as we liked it, wasn't perfect, does it also then share that car's problems? Because this one, as I say, has been dividing opinions since it launched. Well, the only way that we can find out is by putting it through the actual road test that car buyers trust when it comes to choosing their next electric vehicle, the AutoEV one. The AutoEV road test review is brought to you in kind partnership with Anderson EV, the British designed, engineered and built home charging solution that blends the best of technology with the finest of aesthetics. With a choice of 2 different units available to provide either 7 kilowatts or 11 kilowatt charging, and over 240 different design combinations to choose from, the Anderson EV home wall boxes are the only charging units to fully conceal their cables and come with an industry-leading 7-year warranty. Anderson EV are for those of you who love your home as much as your car. Back in 1992, at the tender age of 17, my then partner went out to buy her first car, with the aim of returning home with a Peugeot 205. What she actually came home with was a 1987 Volvo 340. It's fair to say Volvo didn't really do style back then, and I'm sorry if you're a fan of them, but they never really were a great looking car, let's be honest. You know, comfortable, yes. Practical, absolutely. Safe, undoubtedly. Stylish? No, not really. But yet, in the following few decades since then, Volvo's style, I think, has gone from zero to hero. I think they're one of the best looking cars on the road, and I genuinely love Volvo's styling over the last couple of decades. I've owned a couple of C30s now, which I think is one of the best looking small hatch coupe things that you can buy, and I still think it looks fresh today. We've had as a family a couple of XC60s, which I still think again is a great looking sort of like mid-sized crossover. My sister has an S60 saloon, it's something like her 5th Volvo, and I think the S60 that she has now is a way better looking car than a contemporary BMW 3 Series of the same age. I just think they've just got that whole Scandi design coolness going on, and it just works. And I think we've got an absolute winner here. I think this is one of the best looking Volvos that they've ever had. Very familiar Volvo, you see it and you can tell it's Volvo. Of course, you've got your sort of like Thor hammer headlights, which have become their signature. Now, interestingly, when you look at the EX40, now obviously because that's available with petrol engines, hybrids, they blank off the grille at the front, whereas obviously the EX30 doesn't have that. But they've still managed to get the Volvo badge like it would be sitting in a grille, and it looks just right. It just looks like it should be there. And of course it's got the little integrated camera in it as well. I think it looks great. You can tell it's a bespoke EV even just by looking at it. Now, to give you an idea of size, this is quite a compact little car. It's just over 4.2 metres long, so it's just slightly shorter than a Volkswagen Golf, but it sits slightly taller because obviously it's a more kind of crossover style of car. So if you've got a kind of Volkswagen Golf kind of in your head, as I say, it's like slightly shorter but slightly taller, so bear that in mind. Styling wise, look, as I say, Thor hammer headlights, you can obviously your lamps above and below that. There's some nice cooling bits, not cooling, some airflow ducts there, some air curtains that take sort of like the airflow around the side of the wheels. And as I say, there's no grille in the car because obviously it doesn't need it, but your battery's cooled from down at the bottom here. And again, nicely, neatly integrated kind of radar sensor down at the bottom there for the cruise control. Even silly things like the parking sensors, you know, in the black strip, so they're really, really hidden from the eye view. I think it looks absolutely sensational. If you come up here now, you've got some beautiful kind of sharp, clean lines with this kind of bonnet that just kind of spills over into the front wings and the top of the wheel arches, which we'll see in a second. And these beautiful kind of scallops in the bonnet. Clean, crisp. It looks modern, but yet distinctly Volvo. Now, side profile, I think, is off the chart beautiful. I really do. 4.2 metres long, as I say, but the wheelbase is 2.6 metres. They've pushed the wheels right out to the extremities of the car, as you can see. Now, depending also on the model that you go for, and we'll talk about trims later as always, you either get the 18-inch wheels or these 20-inch wheels, and they don't look like 20-inch wheels. I genuinely don't think they look like 20-inch wheels on such a small car. I don't know how they've done that, but they have. This here, look at this beautiful kind of wheel arch. I say that bonnet kind of spills over here, and then you see just that lovely shut line. Circular and square. That's it. Nothing fussy. I, as you know, if you're a viewer of AutoEV, have a BMW iX2, which is a fussy little monkey when it comes to its design. BMW, take note. This is how you do a good-looking car. Clean, unfussy. You look to the Scandinavians. They've just got design licked. They have. This lovely kind of scalloped area here that kind of runs through the front and rear doors. They sort of like the bottom cladding here again got the same kind of texture as the front as well. You know, and again, you know, a big thing of mine. Look, the doors go right down to the sills. Lovely. Standout door mirrors, which are effectively frameless, like Polestar. There's a few familiarity things with Polestar, which obviously you'll see later on, but the glass comes right to the edge, and again, it's got this beautiful sliver of LED side indicator repeater there. Gorgeous. Contrasting roof. Privacy glass that you get on this Ultra model, you don't on the lower model, and then of course the little kind of integrated EX30 badge there. Not a sticker, not, you know, an actual badge, that I like as well. It's just clean. This lovely, look at this window line, the way it kicks up there. Now there is a little bit of a downside with that, which is to do with visibility. Your over the shoulder view, I must admit I was coming out of a kind of a weird angled kind of junction this morning, and I did notice that did play a little bit of a problem. But for the times that I don't have to go out of those junctions, I'm willing to put up with it for a car that looks as good as this. And the back is just as lovely. See what I mean? Again, you know, just a well integrated kind of roof spoiler that comes just out enough. You've got these lovely kind of C-shaped lamps here, which are then obviously joined by these kind of black trim strips across, but then it's separated from sort of like the lights that run up the rear kind of C-pillars. So it does remind you sort of like of that Volvo styling cue, you know, sort of like the old XC90 had, you know, sort of say the XC60 have with the lights that do the kind of this round it. So they've still got that styling signature, but they've done it by separating the lights. It just works. Of course, you get a lovely Volvo badge right across the back, the lettering across the back there, and then a rear wiper just sitting on top there. Boot badge, like the front reversing sensor, sorry, boot badge, boot release, like the front reversing sensor, just a little button that's integrated into this trim strip, so there's no handle that you need to get your hands dirty with, or underneath here, it's just there, you just press it and the boot goes up. Brilliantly simple, but great. And of course then at the bottom, as I say, this trim, this black kind of textured trim like it has been all the way around the car, and a low set number plate. Look, I'm a big fan of this car, okay, as you can probably tell in terms of the way that it looks. I'm not really so sure about this colour, the mist yellow I think it's called, but when I do look at it, it does remind me of a colour called gull yellow that used to get the old 850R in, which is quite a cool colour on that car, but I think they've probably tried to kind of reinterpret it for a kind of modern age. But apart from that, I think this is one of the best looking little cars on the road. But what do you think? Did you buy one? Did you buy one because it really caught your eye? You liked the way the car looked first and foremost? Or did you buy it because it was a Volvo? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. So, small car, small boot? Yeah, it is really. It's 318 litres, which is only 7 litres bigger than a Peugeot E208, so you're looking at super mini size. And it's 140 litres smaller than one of this car's new rivals that's coming out, the Kia EV3, which obviously we've done a sneak peek with, which I'll pop a link up to above. So yeah, it's not ideal in some respects. You've got a 60-40 split rear seat, so you can fold the rear seats down, and that will take total capacity up to 904 litres. However, what that also includes is 60 odd litres of under boot floor storage. So you have a variable height boot floor, or you can leave it where it is just to store things, you know, like my briefcase and camera bag and charging cables and such like as well. So yeah, it's a fairly kind of compact car with a fairly smallish boot. Now you do have some additional space up at the front, but in fairness, we're not talking Tesla kind of size front boot here. It is quite a small amount of storage. It's probably just enough for, you know, maybe sort of like say Warren Triangle first aid kit, the high-vis jacket, you know, if you were going abroad with it. But what is nice is you've got this lovely little kind of picture here underneath this flap of a moose and some pine trees. So that's nice. It's also a little bit tight in the back. Now, as you know, I'm only 5'8", so I'm not exactly huge. Yeah, there's knee room there. The foot room is getting tight for me, and I've got fairly small feet. But what is very noticeable is your feet are pushed up, you know, so I'm sitting like that. You know, you can see just underneath here, there's not a huge amount of sort of like comfort in that sort of like sense. So it is a little bit tight when it comes to sort of like rear kind of leg space. But again, you know, it is a small car. You know, that's what you've got to think. You look at it and you think, oh, it's a Volvo SUV. It's not. It's a very small Volvo crossover. That's what it is. And I say, bear in mind, the boot's just bigger you know, say than a Peugeot 208. So, you know, you've got to be fair to it in some respects. There's good storage. You get these lovely kind of quilted and padded seat mat pockets on the backs of the front seats. There's also a storage bin in here, which you can kind of take out. And look, again, we've got the same. We've got a little moose friend here and pine trees. That's lovely. I like that. I don't know why they've done that, but it's really cool. And that bin goes all the way, sort of like through to the front, effectively. There's also connectivity, because there's two USB-C ports there, and your electric window switches are there. Okay, but the windows go right down into the doors. Look at that. So there's not sort of like glass kind of sticking up there. So they do go right up to the door. Now there's a reason they're there, and we'll talk about that when we jump into the front. Right, headroom's good though. Headroom's good, and of course this is Ultra, so it gets this big panoramic sunroof. The lead-in model doesn't get that, but that will help with it. There's no blind on it, so there's no motor or such, you know, to take up more headroom. So there's a good amount of head space. And what I will say in terms of the actual sort of like interior itself, depending on how you spec it, you've got some beautiful materials. So this lovely grey kind of wool blend does make it feel a bit more spacious than it actually is. So it opens the car up in terms of sort of like, you know, visual sort of like space. But yeah, it's not ideal, you know, as I say. You're not going to be sort of like taking, if you're a family of 5, you're not off to the sort of like south of Italy in a car like this. There is ISOFIX points. They are behind these kind of lovely flaps. You just fold the material down and there just exposes the bars there. I like that. As I say, it's better than the kind of zips you get with Stellantis. You just got to remember, kind of tuck the flap back in. That's good. One downside, however, Volvo, no centre armrest. Why is there not a centre armrest? But in fairness, the door bins are deep and they are shaped to take water bottles, so they do counter with that. There is a flat floor across, as you would expect, but again, as I say, given the sort of like the size of the car, you're not certainly going to get a full-size adult sitting in the middle here, but 3 small children, as long as one of them doesn't need sort of like a seat plumbed in by ISOFIX, then that's a doable sort of like option. But yeah, as I say, it's not the biggest of cars, so we can't expect the biggest of rear seat space. Now, remember when I said that this car had courted a little bit of controversy and split a lot of opinions? And I also mentioned when I were in the back there about why the window controls were in the centre area. This is the reason. Now, this has really divided me this week with this car. I'm really, I swing from one way to the other. I can't really make my mind up about it. The first thing that I will say about this interior of the EX30 is, I think it's one of the nicest interiors of any car available on sale today, in the sense of how special it feels. And I don't mean just for the price, I mean any car. The materials used, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, the way it looks like a concept car, but you can buy it now. That's what I love about it. The style, the way in which it's been done. However, that's not without its issues, which we'll get on to. Right, the reason why, as I say, the window switch in the centre is everything's kind of built here. So even the front window switches are here. And there's very few switches on the car. There's very few physical switches on the car. Everything is controlled through this screen, the 12.3 inch centrally mounted and portrait orientated screen here. As you'd expect with Volvo, and like its sister brand Polestar, which there are a lot of commonalities with, it's a Google automotive based system. So you have Google Maps, Google Play Store, that type of thing in here, which I think really, and obviously Google Assistant, and I really like it, and I've always got on well with it, and I always really like it. But everything is controlled through this screen, and I do mean everything, apart from the gear shift, the wipers and the indicators, and the window switches here. Everything else is controlled through this screen, okay? Right, and that's not going to suit everyone. And we have criticised cars before in the past for that, you know, in terms of sort of like everything being in a screen and lack of physical buttons. So I can't not criticise Volvo for it as well. And it's especially relevant here when we're talking about a company that has built a reputation around safety like Volvo has. As I say, to move people's eyes away from the road and towards this to use things has to be criticised in some respects, you know. As good as it was, and it does, it works really well. That's not the point. You know, there's still maybe a little bit too much reliance on something that's moving your eye from there to there. Okay, right. Let me quickly go through it. So you've got this, as I say, this Google based automotive system here. You've got your gear indication display up the top there, but that's also your speedo. So if I put the car into drive, that's where the speed is. Now, Tesla do this. You know, Tesla have this type of screen. They've used it for years. And again, I quite like the Tesla screen, but the Tesla speedo is quite small. And I've always said with Tesla, I think they should have a head-up display. It's the same here. That's what I think they need. Or do like Polestar do, have the little binnacle here. You're not going to ruin the design of it by having that little binnacle here with things like your speed, your state of charge, your miles to go, things like that, warning lights in here. Instead, what you have is my real bugbear, the driver alert monitor here. Well, if you're going to have that, why put everything in there? Well, you have to do this. Of course, you're going to move your eye off the road. You know, to do anything, that's what you're going to do. Turn your aircon up and down. You know, adjust the temperature. Put the heated seat on. You've got to move your eye away from the road, and that starts to warn you about it. So it's not great, yeah? At least the gear shift is there, rather than Tesla Model 3 swiping. And it does have indicator stalks and wiper stalks, so I'm pleased about that. So, map in the sense, so you've got your kind of big information bar at the top here, which tells you trip meter, how many miles you've done, total mileage, gear indication display, and as I say, your speedo up there, and your state of charge. Then you've got this centre here, which is obviously the map at the moment. I've got it on, and then at the moment you've got two widgets at the bottom there. One is for the Spotify, inbuilt Spotify, no Apple CarPlay as yet. Okay, no Apple CarPlay as yet. There's going to be over-the-air updates coming with the car. I'm not sure if that's going to be one of them. It maybe is, but at the moment there's no Apple CarPlay with it. But you can log into your Spotify account from there. Obviously Bluetooth there, and then you have at the bottom here these sort of like icons that are there. So you've got phone, user manual, your Bluetooth, camera, Google Assistant, opening the boot, maximum defrost, and your glove box release. We'll talk about storage in a second. And then at the bottom is a permanent fixture here, so hazards, but there is also a physical hazard button up there. That's the other button that is up there. And then there's this one here, so it brings up all of your apps, okay? So things like Waze, if you want to use Waze for going into, using for navigation, ChargePoint, YouTube, that type of thing, that's there. There's not too much. It's not busy like my BMW iX2 where there's loads and loads and loads of stuff. The other thing I will say about it is, if you do want to turn something off, and you know how much I don't like all these driver assisted systems, you know, lane keep assist, speed limit warning, it's one click away, yeah? So you press the car icon there, and there they are there. They're all down there. So lane keeping, turn that off. It just asks you to confirm it. One pedal driving, speed limit warning, and driver alert. Okay, so it's only one menu in. So at least it's not buried and buried and buried. And it's all clear, and you know, it's all laid out quite well. So that's the good stuff about it. You know, I say the graphics are good, the design of it's lovely, the integration of things work really, really well. And also you get things like, you know, your car status, everything's okay, it tells you about your trip in for their tire pressure warning, software updates, because it does over-the-air updates as well. And then there's your settings. So again, like the Polestar, these tiles, yeah? So driver support, you can delve into it much deeper. Pilot assist, speed limit warning, steering assist, you know, adjusting the distance that it'll let you be from the car in front. One pedal driving, steering feel. So again, these are stuff that you probably put in once and then leave it. So again, you don't sort of like need to go into all of this, you know, until like every day. The only one here, obviously, performance all-wheel drive, prioritise performance over range. So that's effectively like I suppose like a sport mode, isn't it? You can flick that on or off. But again, you're not going to be constantly doing it, okay? Your aircon, again, and the same with the heated seats, they are permanently there. So you just press that and then obviously choose what you want. And then, as I say, you just go back to your home screen by clicking there, okay? So, good in its application, nice in its design. As I say, everything does work. However, as I say, it's not the best solution. And as I say, I think they should have either had a little binnacle here or, like Tesla, as I say, have a head-up display with augmented reality, because you do take your eye off the road to use that quite a lot. The other downside is adjusting things. So again, like Tesla, you've got, you go into your car settings, where is it? Mirrors. And now you've got to use this, which one is it? The right hand one, to adjust the mirror, the left mirror. And you know what? It's not been that, it's not been that reliable with me this week. And I'm going to talk about that. Shut up. I've moved the mirror now. See, it won't go back. See, that's annoying. Yeah, what was wrong with Volvo's little joystick that they could just put up there to adjust the mirror? You know, it's kind of putting tech in for tech's sake, and as I say, the reliability of it has been questionable this week. I had the screen go black on me the other day as I was coming down. I've been coming to Goodwood, the Festival of Speed this weekend, and using this car. And coming through Hazelmere the other day, the screen just went blank and beeped at me. The car didn't stop, but of course you lose everything. I don't know what speed you're doing, you don't know, what's happening. And then it all came back on, it had reset everything to, so the Spotify had kind of logged off, and the, all the driver aids were back on that I turned off. So that's annoying. Okay, so it's not perfect. And I know that from, reading forums and reading through things about, about other people, I'm not the only one that's had issues with the software of the car. Right. Let's move away from that, because that's as I say, that's all the kind of criticism that I can label at it. But I do need to criticise it. But the design of the car, off the chart. The materials that I was saying to you earlier, that is what I love about in here. And again, a massive focus on sustainability, which is what we like to see these days. You've got this lovely kind of soft kind of neoprene kind of dashboard up here. This one's got the flax trim, which is, again, all kind of recycled, made from flat. And the door cards, the door cards as well, they just feel nice. They're made of this recycled material. The interior of this car is the wool blend, which is 30% natural wool from responsibly sourced farming. And then 70% of the rest of it is recycled polyester. You'd never know, because it feels beautiful. I mean, it feels like an expensive sofa to sit on. Yeah, there's a one as well that's a denim colour, and it actually uses recycled jeans, and it looks phenomenal. It looks great, and the design, as I say, is off the chart. I love it. The only thing with Tesla, with the Model 3 and the Model Y, they've put a screen there in a normal kind of car interior, and the quality's still not quite there. The quality in here, in terms of the fit and finish, is Volvo. That's what you expect. As I said, the buttons, the reason why everything's kind of built down here, this central screen, it does make the car cheaper to build. Now, I don't mean that in the way of it's cheap. It means it reduces the build cost. So Volvo are trying to get the build cost down, which means the sale price obviously can do. So things that all the electrics are kind of focused down around here rather than bits on the doors. That's why they do it like this. So your electric window switches are here. But like Volkswagen, you've got to press the rear button and then the same two buttons to operate the rear ones. And then there's a lock and an unlock there. Look at this. So you've got storage. You've got your 2 water bottles there. If you're not using it, you slide it away. And you've got this lovely open cockpit feel. Wireless charging pad down there. This centre bit down here, you can flip up to give you a deeper one down there. My sunnies are in there. There's 2 USB-C ports down there. If you just need one cup holder out, you just fold it down so you've just got the one cup holder. I mean, it's just been properly thought out in the sense of, what we use and to give something really, really different. But it's just not without its faults, and I can't let them go. I can't not tell you about them. And as I say, it does worry me a little bit, the software issue that the car has had. You've also got the Harman Kardon soundbar across the top there. Sound quality is absolutely incredible. So you've got built-in Spotify, or you've got Bluetooth streaming as well, but no Apple CarPlay as yet, which I do find a bit annoying because I do like CarPlay. But hey, look at these vents. Look at the kind of perspex side of the vents and these lovely little kind of slidey controls and turn them. You don't have to adjust it on that screen. They've done that right. Why, Volvo, did you just then muck it up by doing so much through there and the rest of it? But in terms of the interior, how special it feels in here, how comfortable it is up here, the storage space, the driving position, that is off the chart, But it isn't perfect. The other thing I forgot to mention is, have you ever seen a nicer door handle on a car than that? Look at that. Proper big metal handle you get your hand in. Gorgeous. And that's what I'm saying. Look at this, they've designed this door card here, and there's recycled flax material, and this cloth inside, it's all kind of lined, and then this armrest here, you know, that's shaped that you can pull it to get your hand out. They've done so well with the design. They've really knocked it out of the park with the design. Oh well. Anyway, let's move on. Now, the Volvo EX30 comes with a choice of two battery sizes, either a smaller 51 kilowatt hour unit that gives a total WLTP range of up to 210 miles, which doesn't sound like an awful lot, does it? Or you can plump for the bigger battery, the 69 kilowatt hours that's in this particular car, and that should give a WLTP range of up to 279 miles. In fairness, I've been using this car for a week now and I found it to be quite efficient, so it is quite good that way. Now, charging speeds, they are topped out at 153 kilowatts. Not bench leading, you know, but you do your usual sort of like 10 to sort of like, you know, 80% in the usual sort of like 26 minutes. Now, if you're charging up from your 7 kilowatt wall box, then what you're basically looking at there on the smaller battery is 9 hours, but on this larger battery, that's 11 hours it takes to charge up. Interestingly, both cars come with a standard onboard 11 kilowatt charger, but you can option up to a 22 kilowatt onboard charger on this Ultra model as well, so that's quite good. And both models come with a heat pump as standard. Wall box, yeah, that's my new wall box. Nice, isn't it? And it's actually from Anderson EV, who are the proud supporters of the AutoEV road test review. Now, these wall boxes are British designed, engineered and built, and they provide a home charging solution that blends the best of technology with the finest of aesthetics. With a choice of two different units available, providing either a 7 kilowatt or 11 kilowatt charging capability, and over 250 different design combinations to choose from, the Anderson EV home wall boxes are the only charging units to fully conceal their cables and come with an industry-leading 7-year warranty. Anderson EV are for those of you that love your home as much as your car. One of the most surprising things about the EX30 is how it drives. And as I say, you can have the car as either a single motor car or a dual motor car. Now, even the single motor car's performance is more than adequate. Now, given the fact of the price point of the car, which also we'll talk about a little bit later on, that you've got this type of performance to you that's accessible, I find absolutely incredible. I really do. So the single motor car, which is rear wheel drive, puts out 272 brake horsepower, which means that it will sprint from rest to 60 in 5.7 seconds. Now, that's quick. That's quick by anybody's standards, okay? That's, you know, was not that long since ago, proper sports car performance. But if you opt for the dual motor car, like this car, the Ultra, that power leaps to 428 brake horsepower, and the 0 to 60 sprint slices down to 3.6 seconds. It's the fastest production Volvo that they've ever built, and it's the smallest. It's the smallest car. It's unbelievable. But do you know what the best thing about it all is how controlled it feels. Because one of the things I would say, you know, obviously there'll be a lot of people will look at our reviews of Tesla, you know, in terms of the screen and you know, and the tech and all the rest of it and things like that. And they'll say, yeah, but Tesla did that kind of performance ages ago in a, you know, a relatively low cost car. And you can go, yeah, they did, absolutely. But the difference is it never felt particularly controlled, if I'm being blunt about it. I remember when Charlie, my colleague, drove the Model Y and we did a triple test with the BMW, the Volvo and the Tesla, and he said he genuinely felt that it was on or it's off. That was the way that the car kind of performed. And he would be worried about sort of like his wife driving a car that had that amount of performance, that amount of power, so accessible. The Volvo doesn't feel like that. There's a very deliberate weight behind the accelerator pedal. So it's not a case of just as soon as you touch it, it's like an electric switch when bang, everything just goes and that's it. It's not like that at all. It's a very, very controlled and linear style of acceleration. It's not scary. That's the scary thing about it. But it's not just the performance. I mean, obviously that is outstanding. There's no doubt about that. But as I say, it's also the way in which the car goes about the everyday, you know, it can puddle around town quite easily. It's quiet, you know, I'm coming down to Goodwood, you know, at the moment on the motorway. It's been very, very quiet, it's been very refined. The ride quality on these 20-inch wheels that are on this Ultra model is off the chart, absolutely off the chart. You know, goodness knows what it must feel like on the 18-inch wheels. It must feel like you're just riding on a bed of pillows. You can still feel road surface imperfections, don't get me wrong. You know, if I go over the cat's eyes in the middle of the road or hit a drain cover, you can feel it's there. But you're isolated from it. You know, you don't. It doesn't. There's not a loud bang or a judder through the whole sort of like structure of the car or the suspension. It just doesn't do that. It's pleasant. It's comfortable, and that is key, because this is going to be a family car. It's not some kind of road rocket with stiffened suspension. You know, like the Tesla Model Y that they did. That's not that. This is a comfortable car. Your kids won't feel car sick in this car at all. The steering is worthy of note. The steering is deliciously delectable, absolutely beautiful. It really is. It's so, and actually, I wasn't sure about the actual sort of like, you know, sort of like the wheel itself, but you know, in terms of, you know, it's a sort of squared off Allegro, like, you know, sort of like quartic steering wheel, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. But the thickness of the rim is absolutely perfect. I love it. I like a thinner rim steering wheel, you know, so that itself is just lovely. It feels nice to hold. It just, you know, there isn't a place on it where I hold it where it isn't actually nice. You know, as I said, I don't know if you watched my Peugeot E3008 review, and I said I like, you know, the little wheel that Peugeot do. They've thickened it in a place and it just doesn't feel comfortable. That's not the case here. I've got a good grip of it. I know exactly, you know, sort of like what's happening. There's good communication between me and the car. There's no driving modes with it. You know, this is it. This is what you get. And again, I like that. I like the fact that you don't have to, you know, choose eco, normal or sport or whatever, because you never really bother with it. You leave it normal and that's it. Occasionally you might play with the sport one, but you never do anything else. Don't have any of that in the EX30. It's not here. And the driving assistance things that I normally don't like, you know, and to always turn off. Obviously the default on, as we've discussed, you know, it's like is the law these days. But the way to turn it off, I have to say, although it is through the screen, it's not horrific. So if I just press the little car symbol there, they're all along the bottom there. So lane change off, you just confirm you want it off. Then there's one pedal driving, speed limit warning, and driver alert. You just turn them off. That's it. Done. Okay, it's not just kind of one button, but it's hardly, you know, they're not buried in layers and layers and layers of menus. That's good. I do like that, especially given how much you need to use the screen. So as much as I have criticised Volvo for the screen, at least they are making it fairly easy to use in that sense. Right, in terms of handling now, it's, you know, as I say, it's a car that has really nice sharp turning. It just responds well to your inputs, and the grip that you get from it is just incredible. I mean, obviously this is a dual motor car, but there's a real confidence in it. I mean, at the moment, unfortunately, I'm just in a line of traffic, so I can't really sort of like, you know, sort of like exploit the outer limits of it, you know, as you would. But you know, there's some fairly kind of sharp bends coming up, sort of like, you know, this hill here, you know, and even, you know, if I just kind of fling it in and just kind of, you know, stamp on the throttle like that, it never feels like, that's what I mean, it never feels out of control. It never feels like, oh crikey, what happened there? It feels linear. It feels controllable. And that's the thing that I don't know how Volvo have done it. I don't know what they've done. You know, but you read the stats and you think, God, that thing's just going to be an absolute firecracker. And as soon as you hit the throttle pedal, the thing will be off like a stabbed rat. But no, it just feels right. They've done an absolutely blinding job with this car. I mean, it's really, If you think about cars that we've driven this year that I've said, you know, are real kind of game-changing cars, you know, the Hyundai Ioniq 5N, I think the Mini Cooper SE is another one. I think, you know, the way that car drives, you know, it's that real point and squat, as I said. This is another one. Just the way that it behaves, it just feels right. It feels premium. It feels well engineered. That's what it feels. Everything about it. The ride, the chassis balance, the cornering ability, the weight of the controls, the steering feel, even the brakes don't feel too sharp. You know, you stand on the brakes and they've just got the right kind of amount of feedback for you as a driver. And there's barely any body roll. You know, this is quite a small, compact car, although it is a crossover. It's still quite a small, squat, compact car. You really could throw this down a bit of a back road, and, you know, if you were in the mood for it. And actually, it's very easy to place on the road. It's very easy to sort of, you know, turn in on the corner. It really is a jack of all trades when it comes to that, because at one stage it's a family car, and then the next stage it's a proper little road rocket. And I think it is. I think it's brilliant. It's what I think it is. I think it is absolutely brilliant. Right, let's talk about prices now. So the range starts with the Plus trim. So there's two trim levels, Plus and Ultra. This is an Ultra, but you can get Plus trim, starts the range off, and that starts at £35,150. But that still gets you a heated steering wheel, adaptive cruise control, 18-inch alloy wheels, blind spot monitoring, Harman Kardon premium sound system, wireless phone charging, pilot assist, park assist, onboard 11 kilowatt charger, and so much more. Now, that's the same price as a mid-spec Jeep Avenger, and it's actually less than a Peugeot E28 GT. Now, I don't want to say that £35,000 is cheap, but in relative terms, I think this is a bit of a bargain. I'll have to say that. If you want to add on the extended range battery to that trim level, then it's another £5,000. So just over £40,000 gets you the bigger battery in the Plus trim level, okay? Right, then you move up to the Ultra, and the Ultra only comes with that bigger battery, but that in a single motor drivetrain is £43,350, and that Ultra model adds on things like the 20-inch alloy wheels, the panoramic sunroof, 360-degree camera, and a few other little kind of niceties as well. If you want to add on the dual motor drivetrain to that, it's another £2,500. So in other words, a top of the range dual motor Ultra is £44,995, or this car as tested here is £45,745, and the only option this car has is the tow bar. Now, as I say, I don't want to call that level of money cheap, because, you know, nothing's cheap these days, let's be honest. But in relative terms, I think this is a bit of a bargain. I mean, you've got to consider, in terms of the way that the car looks, the performance that it offers. Actually, in fairness, the range that it offers as well, you know, from this bigger battery model, and the comfort and everything else, and then the style of it. What else are you going to buy for that level of money that's as good as this? Which obviously is the next section. What else are you going to consider if you're thinking about the Volvo EX30? Well, of course, because it does share so much with the Smart #1 in terms of its componentry, its electrical componentry, that is naturally the car that you're going to compete, or you're going to think it's going to compete directly with the car, and it does. And we do like the Smart #1. Apart from the silly name, obviously, it's a good little car. You know, there's no doubt about that. So that is that's a car that I would probably think is going to be your main comparison with the EX30. As is a car that I went to see a few weeks back, a couple of months ago, which was the new Kia EV3. Now that's a car that's going to compete with this. And again, in terms of its battery, we know how good Kia, you know, obviously, and then subsequently Hyundai Group, are with their efficiency, their battery and their ranges, and that's where that car's going to win. And it's a little bit bigger as well in terms of its volume, certainly in terms of boot space, than the Volvo. And it's as good in terms of sustainability as well. So if that's one of your key focuses, then, you know, sort of like the Kia is one to take a look at as well. Now, as I say, talking to Kia, we obviously mentioned Hyundai there, so obviously you're going to look at maybe perhaps as well the Kona Electric, which has been out a little while now, but it's a good little car. very quirky looking in terms of its style. Hyundai have got their kind of style thing going on there. But again, you know, in terms of its range, the quality, sort of like, you know, the equipment level, and you know, the fact that you get a really good warranty as well with Hyundai and Kia as well, that's a big draw with those vehicles. Now, there's another car that I've seen, and I've actually driven it in prototype form, but I can't tell you anything about it other than it's the Skoda Elroq, which is Skoda's new competitor in this range. So it slots in below the Enyaq. And we know how good the Enyaq is, so we expect big things from the Elroq, but I can't tell you anything about it at the moment. That embargo lifts in October, so make sure you subscribe to the AutoEV channel for that one. Stellantis, now they field quite a few cars. This is why I've had to write a list. There's so many, I can't remember my age. Stellantis field quite a few cars in this price bracket. Jeep Avenger, Fiat 600e, Peugeot E2008, and of course Vauxhall Mokka. But I don't think they offer anywhere near the performance, the range, and dare I say the premium feel of the EX30 at this price point. But nonetheless, they've got to be on your radar at this price and size of car. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Mini. Now, the Mini Countryman is probably a little bit above the EX30, although you, for the price of this car, you are into a Countryman, you know, which is not a bad car. It's a really good car, as I say, it's a really good family car, but it is a little bit bigger. It's probably the next size up. So maybe it's more a comparison with things like the EX40, for instance, in terms of its size. And it's saying price point wise, you're not getting the same as you're getting for this car, but you're getting a much bigger car. However, of course, with Mini, you've got the new Aceman coming out, and that is going to be the true rival for the EX30. But there's certainly plenty out there for your money. So here's what we like and what we don't like about the new Volvo EX30. What we love, its styling. The interior design and use of materials make it feel really special inside. It's outstanding dynamics. It's well equipped for the money, and we feel that it offers really good value in comparison with some of the competition. We don't like, well, the single interface of only one screen may not be the best solution. And therefore that goes against Volvo's safety message in our eyes. Rear accommodation is quite small, and it has to be said we have had some quality glitches that have surfaced in our time with the car. I'm really torn with this car, because in many ways I want to stand here and tell you that between £35,000 and £45,000 I'm not sure that there's a better family EV on the market. I think this is a real game-changing car, I really do. It looks futuristic, yet it still looks very much of the now. It uses recycled materials and methods to keep the build costs down, but yet still feels premium. It has this level of performance that's available to you, but yet it never feels out of control. It feels well honed and well engineered. It's almost absolutely perfect. But, and it is a big but, it isn't. You see, that single screen interface, and obviously some of the quality glitches that I've experienced with the car, if it was any other car, I would have to mention them. So of course I have to mention them in this road test review as well. And I have to say that they are there, and reading obviously what some owners have experienced so far, there is something that's present that Volvo need to take care of. And especially, as I say, when it comes to the sort of like, you know, the safety aspect of using that centrally mounted screen from a brand that for decades now has built a reputation as being one of the safest on the market. So whilst I want to make it a 5-star car, there are areas which I don't think it is a 5-star car. But what I will say is this: if it was my money, I'd be willing to put up with those niggles to have something like this, because I genuinely think that this is one of the best electric cars, best family cars that I have driven. I think this thing is absolutely sensational. But I do have to criticise it, and so criticise it I will. Thank you very much for watching another episode of AutoEV. As always, please make sure you are subscribed to the AutoEV channel. Then once you've done that, make sure you've pressed the little bell button down below, because that's the way that you get a notification of when our next video is uploaded and it's gone live. If you have enjoyed this video, and hopefully you have, then make sure you give it a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. I am sure you will. How do you own an EX30? Have you experienced some of these quality issues that I've had with the car? Are you been put off it because of that centrally mounted screen and you haven't gone and bought one? Let us know in the comment section down below. Am I absolutely talking out of my backside and there's a better car out there than this that you'd rather drive than this? I can imagine a few of you will mention one that begins with a T. Now don't forget, we're also across all social media platforms as well, so Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn and X, so please give us a follow there as well, because that does help us. And if you're in the marketplace for an electric car, whether it's a new one like the Volvo EX30 or a pre-owned vehicle, but you need to know more about it, you need to know all the little nitty-gritty details about it before you go and sign the salesman's order form. Have a delve through the AutoEV back catalogue on our YouTube channel, because if it's been a new electric car in the UK in the last 4 or 5 years, we've probably road tested it. And remember, it's the AutoEV road test is the actual road test that car buyers trust when it comes to choosing their next electric vehicle. Right, I'm off to the Goodwood Festival of Speed now to do some more work. Thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. See you again soon.